Ken Caminiti. Now the 0-1 on the way, and it missed a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Frank Pulley calling the balls and strikes tonight, normally a pitcher's umpire.
We told you before, the Astros have struggled against left-handers. Frank Pulley will get you in and out of the ballpark. We tell you they've struggled against lefties. Actually, Caminiti and Bagwell are the only 2 guys who've done any long ball damage against lefties all year.
Here's the 1-1. Had a good swing. Didn't get it, though. 1-2. There's what Don was talking about. 8 home runs against southpaws for Caminiti, 7 for Bagwell. Nobody else has more than 1.
And in the National League, if you're going to win, you have to beat some left-handed pitching.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count on Bagwell. It's even now, 2-2. There's your runner at first, Craig Biggio. Excellent speed. He has 18 stolen bases, stole 3 in 1 game against Atlanta and Houston last weekend. He's going. The throw down by Olsen, and he is in there again. That is 14 consecutive stolen bases for the Astros against the Braves, and 20 out of 23 on the season. It's number 19 for Craig Biggio.
Oh, he got a good jump. You could see Avery's front leg hadn't even started toward the plate before Biggio was off and running. Olsen's throw on the money, though with a jump like that, with his speed, it would have been almost impossible to throw him out. Now what Steve Avery has to do, and you got the right guy out there, don't let that upset you. Play for the out. If he advances on the out, okay, no big deal. Just get the out.
It's 3-2 now on Bagwell. Here's the payoff pitch on the way. Fly ball, center field. Gann had him played almost perfectly. Only has to come a few steps to that one. And that's out number 2 here in the first inning. Now third baseman Ken Caminiti, who comes in at 254. He has 12 homers, 79 runs driven in. A 295 average over his last 22 games. One of the few, I guess you could call him a semi-veteran on this Houston ball club. He really hasn't been around the major leagues that long, but he's one of the older players at age 28.
And with what, 3 years major league experience?
First pitch on the way to Caminiti. Breaking ball strike, inside corner, 0-1. 2 outs, a runner down at second, just underway from a sold-out Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. We are sold out again tomorrow and again on Sunday afternoon. One ball, 1 strike now on Ken Caminiti. We will, by the way, be televising Sunday's game on TBS beginning at 2:05. That'll be immediately followed by the Mellow Yellow 500. We've added that Sunday game to our schedule. Here's the 1-1. Javier Ortiz waits on deck. There's Ortiz. Downstairs for a ball. 3-1 the count now on Ken Caminiti.
Avery will try to make 2 good pitches here, not just reach back and try to throw the fastball belt high, inner half right by him. You've got a lesser experienced batter on deck. You're good to get out of here without giving up the run.
Got the breaking ball in the inside corner. It's full now, 3-2. One of Steve Avery's strengths at his young age is his ability to throw any one of his 3 pitches for a strike any time in the count.
Take a look at this curveball. You've got to be setting fastball if you're Caminiti. And he didn't get it. He did the wise thing, though. He didn't swing.
He swung at that one, did get the fastball there, and fouled it back, 3-2.
3-1 curveball. He drops it in there. How can you stand up there and look for a fastball? Caminiti couldn't. That was the belt high down the middle fastball, and he was tardy on it. Pitching like Avery does, not really being locked into having to throw one certain pitch in any certain count, he can really confuse some hitters.
Another 3-2 pitch on the way, and he lost him. Avery issues his first walk. Runners now at first and second with 2 down for Javier Ortiz. Hitting .267. He has 1 homer and 5 runs driven in. Also spent part of the year at Tucson in AAA ball, where he hit .323.
And something taking place in the middle of the diamond we have seen happen so often this year. First and second, 2 outs. He walked the guy. Here comes Pendleton. And chances are just to say, hey, you got good stuff. Don't let that bother you. Just because you walked the guy, don't think you've got to come right down the middle on this guy. Keep pitching like you can.
Runners first and second, 2 outs. Ortiz fouls back the first one, 0-1 the count.
Braves play him a little bit differently than I would expect them to, Pete. We saw him hit the ball the other way in the Astrodome hard, but Lonnie is playing him a little to pull in left. Ron Gant shaded slightly to the left field side, and they're playing him to pull in the infield. So Avery must be going to give him changeups and breaking balls, pitches they expect him to pull if he does hit them.
Here's the 0-1 on the way. Did not get the fastball. 0-2 on Ortiz.
Either that or he's just going to throw it by him, and it doesn't matter where they're standing.
Ortiz, initially a #1 draft pick of the Texas Rangers. Came up in their organization. Astros got him in a minor league trade. Caminetti, the runner at first. Biggio, the runner at second. And Avery's 0-2 pitch to Ortiz just missed inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 on the way. Strike 3 called. Caught the inside corner. And Avery is out of it. The Astros strand runners at first and second. This crowd electric tonight here in Atlanta. No score after a half inning.
The Braves, and here's how they'll line them up. Lonnie Smith will lead it off. He'll be followed by Mark Lemke and Terry Pendleton. The middle 3 will be David Justice, Ronnie Gant, and Sid Bream. The final 3, Greg Olson 7th, Rafael Belliard 8th, and Steve Avery 9th. Defensively, the Astros will have an outfield of Gonzalez, Finley, and Ortiz. In the infield, you'll see Caminetti, Cedeno, Candel, and Bagwell. Biggio's behind the plate, and young Jeff Juden is on the mound. There you have a look at him. At age 20 and at 6'7", 245, he is the youngest player on the field, and he is also by far the largest. You see his numbers for the year. He has split the year at AA Jacksonville, AAA Tucson before coming up here. And he threw well for part of the game against the Braves out in Houston.
Yeah, Braves hitters are very impressed with this youngster. Lonnie Smith, Mark Lemke, Terry Pendleton due up here in the bottom half of the first inning. Lonnie at .272, 7 homers, 42 runs driven in. And the first one misses high, ball 1 to Lonnie Smith. It's 2-0. The on-deck hitter, Mark Lemke. And the Tomahawks are out here in Atlanta. And they'll be out a lot tonight. Here's the 2-0 on the way. There's a strike in the inside corner. It's 2-1 now to Lonnie Smith. Juden's 2-1, hit sharply. Nice backhanded play by Cedeno. Long toward the first, gets Lonnie Smith. Good play by the rookie shortstop, Andujar Cedeno. And 1 out in the bottom half of the first.
This kid has good range. Look how he plants. You get a chance to see how strong his arm is. No bounce, about belt high. Lonnie runs well, but that's a good play by Cedeno.
So 1 away now for Mark Lemke, who comes in at .237, a couple of home runs, 23 runs driven in. Had a 9-game hitting streak snapped in the final game in Cincinnati. Takes the first pitch from Juden downstairs for a ball. It's 2-0 now on Mark Lemke. Terry Pendleton waiting on deck. And Juden falling behind 3-0 now on Lemke. There's Terry Pendleton, now the league's leading hitter, heading into the final weekend. On 4 straight, Lemke walks, and the Braves have their first base runner. There you see the numbers Jeff Juden posted against Atlanta last Saturday. Only 1 walk and 5 strikeouts, so his control last week was very good.
You mentioned Pendleton now leads the league. He has done it with a real surge in his last 25 ball games. You see where he stands there, just percentage points ahead, but he's hitting close to 365 in the last month.
From the stretch, Juden deals and missed inside. Ball 1. He has missed with 5 in a row, and he fell behind 2-1 on Lonnie Smith before getting him, so he's only thrown 2 strikes this inning so far.
And the tendency, if you're a young pitcher like that, and I'll bet you Biggio recognized it right away, is to not continue to throw with the good motion and just throw it hard. All of a sudden, you can see Juden, it's like he's throwing a dart. He's trying to pinpoint it for a strike and a good strike instead of letting the good action that he has, like he did the last time he faced the Braves, work for him.
Now the 1-0 pitch on the way to Pendleton, caught the inside corner for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And I think also early on, Pete, you've seen that Frank Pulley definitely is a pitcher's umpire, but not at the knees. He has a little bit wider strike zone, and he'll give you a little bit at the top of the strike zone.
One man out. Lemke, the runner at first. No score. Bottom half of the first inning. First of 3 with the Astros. Here's the 1-1. Chopped to first. Fielded by Bagwell. His play will be on Pendleton. Down to second goes Mark Lemke. So 2 men are out. That'll bring up David Justice, who hit one of the most dramatic home runs in Atlanta Braves history on Tuesday night. Now hitting 280, 21 homers, 87 RBIs. We know a lot of you fans watching at home go a little wacky when David connects, but we hope that you don't do what Kathleen Mosley did in Greenville, South Carolina. We got a newspaper clipping today from Greenville. She had just gone to bed Tuesday night, and she heard her husband screaming, get out of here. She called 911. She thought the house was being burglarized. He was talking to David Justice when he hit that home run. That was a great story. We got a copy of that today, mailed to us by a fan. First pitch to Justice is low, ball 1.
That was in Greenville?
In Greenville, South Carolina.
I hope the police department there either are Braves fans or have a great sense of humor.
When she saw her husband walk into the room saying, what are you doing talking on the phone? She just handed him the phone. He had to explain, hi, this is Dr. Mosley. You're not going to believe this, but all I was doing was watching the Braves game. Great story. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Justice could not stop his swing. It's 1-1. Lemke down at second. 2 men out. And you can see how David has delivered. You realize he has 87 RBIs, and he's missed 2 months this year. Think where he'd be if he had been healthy those 2 months. Maybe on top of the National League in that category. Here's the 1-1. Downstairs, 2-1.
You know, we like to work in numbers sometimes, but if you really want an impressive one, in the 162 games that David Justice has played since he replaced Dale Murphy, he's hitting just a shade under 300. He has 40 home runs and 133 RBIs. Nobody likes to see an institution like Dale Murphy move on, but that's a pretty good replacement.
3-1, the count now on Justice. 6'7" Jeff Juden delivers and caught the inside corner with a breaking ball. 3-2. Juden was 6-3 at Jackson, a 3.10 earned run average. That's double-A ball. Then 3-2 at Tucson with a 3.18 earned run average. So he has risen very rapidly through the Houston minor league system. He and Biggio having trouble getting together. There's the on-deck hitter, Ronnie Gant. And now Juden wants to talk it over with Biggio.
You know what happens sometimes, Pete? It's not a matter of they're disagreeing on which pitch to throw, but with a runner at second, you go into a combination of signs. It might be the first sign after 2. It might be the third sign. It might be start on one pitch and roll over at the number 5 and go back to a second or third sign. But generally, when that happens, especially with a young pitcher, he's just not sure of what signs are using.
He gets David Justice swinging. And that's all for Atlanta in the bottom half of the first inning. So the walk does not hurt. The runner left down at second base. We've completed 1 in Atlanta. Gonzalez, 254, 13 homers, 69 runs driven in. This kid has good power. And he takes a strike from Avery, 0-1. He also has 27 doubles and 9 triples.
Remember the first time we saw him, he really struggled, especially against lefties. But as the years gone on, he still struck out a lot. But you can see, when you don't see a player for a month or two and then you see him, you can see this guy making strides.
And an absolutely fearless outfielder. He's one of those guys that runs over walls and into the bullpen to try to catch everything he can get to. Here's the 1-1. 2-1 the count now, and Luis Gonzalez. Andujar Cedeno waiting on deck. That'll be out of play. And the count even on Gonzalez now, 2-2.
Well, you see, still not exactly wearing out left-handers, but if you had seen that number in late April.
Right to the first baseman, Sid Breen. He will win the race to first. And there's one gone in the top half of the second. Now the shortstop, Andujar Cedeno. This kid has a chance to become a star in the major leagues. Hitting .243 with 8 homers and 33 RBI since coming up from AAA ball, where he hit 6 homers and drove in 55. So this season, this shortstop has driven in 88 runs combined between AAA and the majors.
He's done all that while striking out over 100 times, too. Once he learns to become a little bit more disciplined, or maybe he never will, maybe he'll just make better contact.
Right back our way.
But as you can see right there, he does not get cheated when he's at the plate. Contrast the two shortstops here tonight. Both good range, both with good arms, both with pretty good speed, but boy, is there a difference in their approach to hitting.
He's only walked 8 times this year, Cedeno. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. Casey Candell, the on-deck hitter. And Avery is 1-1 on the way. Line drive, but right at Belliard. From one shortstop to another, 2 outs.
Got him with the changeup. You know he's a big swinger. He catches it right on the end of the bat. Belliard, soft liner. It's an easy play.
That'll bring up Casey Candell, a .263 hitter for the year. 4 homers, 49 runs driven in. One of the peskiest hitters against the Braves on this Houston team. He takes a strike on 1. Right off the end of the bat down the first base line. It'll be picked up by Avery. Spins and throws, and Breen hung on. 1-2-3 for the Astros in the second. We've completed an inning and a half in Atlanta, and we are scoreless.
Dug out from where we are, but watch the ball in Breen's glove. Bounces out, then he recollects it. From this angle, you can see the umpire coming down from home plate. It's Charlie Williams' call. Charlie, absolutely no chance to see this. So a lot of times you wonder why there are arguments. Umpires who work hard and do their job, and Charlie did there. He came off the line, got over into position to make the call. But when Breen turned inside, he was absolutely shielded from it, and he made the right call based on everything he saw. Braves may have caught a break, though.
Ronnie Gant, Sid Bream, and Greg Olson due up in the bottom half of inning 2. Gant will start at 247 hitter, 31 homers, 102 RBIs. He could reach 100 in another category on this final weekend. Needs to score 3 more runs to reach the century mark. And he takes ball 1 from Jeff Juden. Back out of play and the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's a fastball the Braves saw from Juden in the Astrodome, and he's actually pitching a little differently here than he did over there. In the Astrodome, he went right after the hitters and got ahead with the fastball, then went to his other stuff. He's doing just the opposite so far tonight.
Missing inside with a fastball. 2-1 to Ronnie Gant. Sid Bream on deck. And then Greg Olson. Into left field, base hit for Ronnie Gant to lead off the bottom half of inning 2.
Tried to throw that fastball in on Gant again, and you've seen him all year long. If you're going to throw it in there, you better get it way in, not down and in. He didn't elevate this one, but that got by Caminetti before he even had a chance to take a step toward it.
Now Sid Bream, 253, 11 homers, 45 RBIs. The Tomahawks are out, and the war chant reverberates around Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Custer didn't see this many Tomahawks.
Ronnie with 33 steals this year. Gant is going. The throw down by Biggio will be late. Ronnie Gant has stolen his 34th.
I like the move for a couple of reasons. Biggio doesn't throw that well, and Gant, once he can get to second, now anything on the right side by Breen puts him in over at third with less than 2 out. He gets a good jump on Juden. Even running in his new high-top spats, he gets a good jump and gets down in a hurry.
The count 0-1 on Sid Bream. It's even now, 1 ball, 1 strike. Someone has a tom-tom that has been going continually out in right field somewhere since this game started. This will get the runner over to third. Bream retired for the first out. Gant now at third with 1 out for Greg Olson.
That's some unselfish hitting on Sid Bream's part. You know, and I know, he hasn't been tearing the cover off the ball lately. His batting average has fallen some, but he's still, and one of the reasons he and Pendleton are such leaders, he is still willing to make it out if it's a productive out, and that's just what he did.
Greg Olson, 243 for the year. 6 homers, 43 RBIs. He's delivered in spots like this all year long. A ball outside.
Interesting defensive alignment in the infield. Did you notice that, Pete?
First and third, they're in.
And the shortstop and the second baseman are back. I really don't understand the reasoning behind that, because it means now that Olson can hit one by Caminetti. The only way they're going to make a play is if it's right at it, and his angle is cut down if it's not right at him.
And the count goes to 2-0, and they're pitching him away. So he would really have to get around on one to hit one right at Caminetti if they're going to pitch him out there. Here's the 2-0. Away again, 3-0. And now let's see. Candell came over toward the bag at second as if they were going to intentionally walk Olson, but apparently not, because he's gone back now. High in the air, deep to left field. Gonzalez going back to the warning track, to the wall. He's got it, tagging at third, running again. It's 1-0 Atlanta. RBI number 44 for Greg Olson.
Got the green light, 3-0. Got a fastball belt high. Got it in the air. The fly ball to left. Ole knows that's probably not going out, but it's got to be deep enough to score again. That is textbook manufacturing a run. Get the single, steal second, ground ball out to get the third, fly ball to get him in.
Here's Rafael Belliard swinging at the first pitch toward short. Cedeno can't handle it. It'll be an error on Andujar Cedeno. And if nothing else, that at least gets the pitcher up in this inning, Steve Avery.
Sometimes people who do things well and with a little flair try to add just a touch more flair to it. Watch this, trying to sling it out, didn't have a good grip. He's going to unload the first, but when he didn't have a grip on the ball, lost it completely.
So now Avery steps in. Avery, a .227 hitter, not a bad hitting pitcher at all. He's helped himself in several games this year. Nothing and 1 to count on Avery. A run in. Braves on top 1-0. Bottom half of inning 2. Pete Van Weeren, Don Sutton with you from a sold-out Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. This place holds a little over 50,000. If it held 150,000, you could have sold it out today. Foul away again. 0-2 now on Avery. What were the odds back in April that Atlanta and Houston, the final week of the season, would be sellouts, 3 of them?
You could have gotten just about anything you wanted on that. By the way, Pete, what's the status of the Avery-Glavin slugfest now that Tom has probably seen his last start of the year?
It is still dead even, 17 hits apiece.
So it's right in Avery's hands. There's a lot in that young man's hands tonight.
Tom Glavin, who won his 20th in Cincinnati on Wednesday night. It's 1-2 now on Steve Avery.
I don't know about you, but you saw a shot at Glavin. I was very proud of him, the way he handled the ball game, the way he handled his comments afterwards. Early on, the error, but he shook it off, and I'll tell you what, he has really matured into a world-class pitcher.
Still a ball and 2 strikes on Steve Avery. One of the scouts, and there are a lot of them here, making the comment that how many pitching staffs today have a guy that might win the Cy Young Award this year and 2 candidates who might win it next year in John Smoltz and Steve Avery? Not many. And throw Glavin in there, too. Actually, 3 candidates that might win it next year. Down toward short. Andujar's got this and drops this one, too. Trying to be flashy again with a little routine underhand toss to second. He was going to come up over the top. And he commits his second error of the inning.
One of the things he will learn eventually is you don't have to hot dog everything. This was going to be one of those Tony Fernandez sidearm snaps to second, but he didn't have to. A little glove toss would have done it. Because of that, the Braves still have an inning alive.
So consecutive errors by Andujar Cedeno. Runners at first and second, 2 men out. Back to the top of the order, Lonnie Smith, who grounded out to short his first time. and no strikes on Lonnie. That coming on that incredible 6-game road trip. It's 2-0 now on Lonnie Smith. Juden has really gotten 5 people out or 4 people out in this inning. He needs to get a 5th person out to get out of it. The 2 errors have put those 2 on. Avery at first, Belliard at second. And the 2-0 on the way, ripped foul down the left side. Count goes to 2-1.
You're very fortunate if you can come into the big leagues as a young pitcher and immediately start playing on a good ball club that does all the right things, plays good defense, scores run, and a contender. What Jeff Juden is going through is a part of the educational process that so many over there are going through on the Astros, and unfortunately when you're the pitcher, sometimes the cost of tuition is very high.
Here's his 2-1 now to Lonnie Smith, missing high, 3-1. One more bad one, they'd be loaded for Mark Lemke, who you saw a moment ago in the on-deck circle. Here's the 3-1. Into left field, base hit. Belliard gets the green light around third. Gonzalez firing home. It'll be cut off. No, it won't. Caminiti let it go, but it's not in time to get Belliard. It's 2-0 Atlanta. Lonnie Smith drives in his 43rd of the year.
Good ball club takes advantage of the mistakes of a young ball club. Lonnie now 11 for 23. And you don't know in a game like this early in the ball game for Steve Avery how much bigger that second run becomes. It's more than twice as big as one.
And Art Howe out to the mound to try to settle down his young pitcher. And that's the way a young manager can really make an impression on a young ball club. When he got out there, he had a smile on his face, just trying to say, look, I know you're in a little bit of a jam right now, but I've still got confidence in you. You should be out of the inning.
What else can he say? And he knows right now that the moves he's making with these kids, the things he's telling them is not so much for tonight or tomorrow or the next day as it is for next year, next spring, the year after that.
Runners still at first and second, 2 outs, 2 runs in. Mark Lemke, who walked in the first, is up. A ball high to Lemke. Fouled on the right side, 1 ball, 1 strike. Despite the frenzy that the fans have shown in this city for the last month, really, the demeanor of the ball club still as even as you could imagine. It's still very hard to tell after a game when you walk in a Braves clubhouse whether the Braves won or lost the game. It's that the disposition is that even.
And that's a real bonus, too, when you play 6 months, 162 games, and especially when you come into a weekend like this where it really is a 3-game season. Good to see Marvin Freeman back in the dugout.
Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way to Lemke. Off the glove of Biggio, 2-2. Yes, Marvin had that back surgery and had to go back home and recuperate, start his rehab. He'll be ready to go by next spring, he says.
Twice he's told me, Pete, that the letters and the cards and the phone calls that he got really meant so much to him because he was really down about having to leave this ball club. He had been as good as you can get out of that bullpen for about 6 weeks. There's a look at Big Marvin.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Lemke. And it's full now, 3-2. This will give the runners a head start. Terry Pendleton waiting on deck. Lonnie Smith will break from first. Avery will take off from second. On a 3-2 pitch to Mark Lemke. Here it comes. Ground ball right side. Up with it Bagwell. He'll win the race to first. And Juden gets out of it with no further damage. But the Braves taking advantage of some misplays and creating one run themselves. Take a 2-0 lead after 2 here in Atlanta. Still seeking his first major league hit. One ball, no strikes. It's 1-1 now, and Jeff Juden must have borrowed those batting gloves from primetime, huh?
Those are glow-in-the-dark gloves.
Little neon. Here's the 1-1. Foul back. Speaking of primetime, the Falcons off this weekend, so he is available for the entire weekend series. That's all for Juden. Second strikeout of the game for Avery. One out in the third. Back to the top of the order now, Steve Finley. They'll reach on Lemke's error to open the game. One ball, no strikes, and Steve Finley. Dodgers and Giants at Candlestick Park later on tonight. Ramon Martinez against Bud Black. He went, and the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know what a plus it is having a kid like Avery mature as he has this year and pitch so well down the stretch. But how good is it for the Braves to have had 4 healthy starters all year?
That's really been a remarkable stretch for all 4.
I can't think of another club in baseball that might have 4 starters who are looking at, what, 35, 36 starts?
Smoltz, Avery, Leibrandt, Glavin, none of them have missed a single turn. It's 3-1 now on Steve Finley. Look at that. And that's all part of a good year, too. You've got to have a little luck involved. You've got to stay healthy. Full count 3-2 now on Steve Finley.
Well, you stop and think how many possible ways. Let's look at John. Mark Grant there.
Doing his Frank Foley imitation, by the way. That'll be out of play. Still 3-2. Biggio waiting on deck. 1 man out. Bases empty. We're in the top of the third. Braves leading at 2-0. Here's the 3-2 on the way, and that's it for Finley. Avery records his 3rd strikeout.
Finley's a pretty good contact hitter, but Avery has thrown him some nasty pitches tonight. This is the fastball just on the outer half of the plate. Watch the movement right at the end. As it goes down, it's almost like it flattens out rather than continuing to sink.
Now Biggio hit into a 4-6 force play in the first inning, then stole a base. Biggio still at .299 for the year. Obviously his goal to get that average up 1 point this weekend. At the knees, it's 1-1. High in the air, left center field. Lonnie Smith coming over. Ronnie Gant coming over. Gant will take it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Steve Avery. Nothing doing for the Astros in the third after 2.5. Still 2-0 Atlanta. don't need to say much tonight, do you? Just let the pictures tell the story.
Some of them.
Terry Pendleton will lead off here in the bottom of the third. He grounded out to first in the first inning. We don't normally do jokes on the air, but I heard one yesterday that applies to this Atlanta Braves season. During the Mideast War, first the pitch to Pendleton, fouled away. During the Mideast War, General Schwarzkopf, walking in the desert, found a bottle. A genie came out and said, "I can grant you one wish." He laid out a map of the Middle East and said, "I would like peace restored to this entire region." He said, "I'm not a miracle worker. I'm just a genie. You may have one wish." He said, "I would like the Atlanta Braves to win the National League West." The genie said, "What was that first one?" That's how improbable a season the Atlanta Braves have put together. And now Mr. Sherholtz getting recommended for more than Executive of the Year.
I'm not sure Stan Kaskin would go for that.
You're so happy for those folks. Here's the 1-1 to Pendleton, fouled away. It's 1-2.
Boy, the year that has happened, we say it often, but he's earned it. This guy right here, right in the middle of it, he has brought so much good to this ball club, in the clubhouse, on the field, in the dugout. He's done a lot for himself, too. And you know what's overlooked in all the numbers we talk about, and the fact that he is chasing for the batting title?
He's out of there this time. Juden gets him swinging. Second strikeout of the game for Jeff Juden.
Is that he is battling Howard Johnson for the total base lead right here in the National League. And that's something we haven't talked about that much.
One away, now David Justice, who is a strikeout victim back in the first inning. One ball, no strikes, the count on Justice. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error for Atlanta. No runs, no hits, and 2 errors for Houston. We're in the bottom of the third. Missing high, 2-0. There's a strike in the inside corner. 2-1 to count on Justice. Ronnie Gant waits on deck. Jeff Juden, 20 years old, 6'7", 245, from Salem, Massachusetts. First round pick in '89 by the Astros. Here's his 3-1 now to David Justice. And he walked him this time. That's the second walk issued by Juden. A runner at first with 1 out. And Ronnie Gant will be the batter. Gant got it started in the second inning when he singled, stole second, went over to third on Bream's ground out, and came home on Greg Olson's sacrifice fly. Juden throws it by Bagwell. Justice on his way to second. He's going to make it over to third. Bagwell finally catches up with it. And another Houston error. Their third of the game. Gives the Braves another scoring opportunity.
Two things happen on this play. It's a quick move by Juden, and I don't think Bagwell was even set. And secondly, he threw it right into Justice. Bagwell had no chance of making the play. Smart move by David Justice here running the second. He took a look at where the ball was and where Bagwell was. Another look here, and he could coast there. But the key move was taking a look about halfway to second.
Now the infield in all the way around. Little pop fly, shallow right field, long run for Bagwell, long run for Ortiz. Nobody can get to it. That's an out with the infield back. With the infield in, it's a run-scoring double. The Braves lead it 3-0.
You win ball games when you create runs on your own and take advantage of the other team's mistakes. The mistake to throw past Bagwell here, bringing the infield in, opened up a lot of real estate there. You won't see Gant going that way too often. Ortiz in right field was almost all the way in right center, so it's a lucky bloop double for Gant and a little bit bigger lead for the Braves.
Sid Bream grounded out to first his first time. Out in front of the changeup, 0-1.
First time we've seen that pitch from June tonight, and he's got a good motion on it. Looks like he has good movement, too.
103 RBIs now for Ronnie Gant. One ball, one strike on Sid Bream.
How many more runs does he need now for that century mark? He's already scored one.
He has scored 97, so 3 more times across the plate, and there's another milestone for Gant this season. Deep to left field, Gonzalez back to the track and makes the catch. Good play by Luis Gonzalez. Gant has to go back to second base. He was playing it halfway. So 2 men out now with Gant at second. Greg Olson will be the batter.
You mentioned how aggressive he is. He got turned around a little bit here, but look at the eyes, the head. It didn't bob. Stayed right on the ball even as he was turning around. He was playing Bream very shallow, so that's a good play.
Olson drove in his 44th of the year with a sac fly to left back in the second. A ball inside. Actually, Gant only needs to score twice more to hit the 100 mark. He scored back in the second inning. And I'll tell you what, you hit 30 home runs, steal 30 bases, score 100 runs, and drive in 100. Those are 4 categories that are very meaningful offensively. 1-1 to Greg Olson.
Well, the batting average hasn't jumped up into 260s, but he has made every hit count. And one more time, what a great job he's done behind the plate.
Takes the breaking ball for strike 2. It's 1-2. Rafael Belliard in the on-deck circle. 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 error for Atlanta. No runs, no hits, 3 errors for Houston. We're in the bottom of the third with 2 outs. And Juden's 1-2 delivery. Right back our way. That went into the most crowded broadcasting booth in the history of baseball, right off to our left.
And Ray Knight booted it. There you have a look.
We have got 1, 2, 3.
Was all night long. Throw that ball out.
Yeah.
Throw it out there.
Throw it out where?
Give it to one of the fans. Attaboy. You don't do this, we'll get tomahawk chopped. Here's the 1-2. Right center field and deep. Finley, the center fielder, wants it and hauls it in. Olson retired on the fly ball, but another run in and a Ray Knight catch and the ball delivered back. All in 1 inning.
But he got him easily.
Caminiti drew that walk in the first inning. And then Avery struck out Ortiz to end it. First pitch swinging back our way. It's 0-1. Braves have won 19 out of the last 26, 29 out of the last 32, and have the best record in the major leagues. They've moved ahead of Minnesota in that category at 53-27 for the second half. It's a ball and a strike to Caminiti. If the club can win tonight, there'll be 26 games over 500. That'll be a first in Atlanta Braves history. Foul past Phil Garner, coach's third for the Astros. 1-2. And how about the attendance this year? Good chance tonight of going over 2,050,000. That would almost double last year's. Just outside, 2-2. So Braves baseball, the hottest item in the Southeast now. The 2-2 from Avery. Slow roller. It'll stay foul. It's still 2-2.
And it's not just Atlanta. You mentioned the hottest thing in the Southeast, and you're right about that, because we're getting all sorts of indications that they're having viewer parties and listener parties all over the Southeast. And the Braves menu today at the Palmer Stone Elementary School in Oxford, Georgia: tomahawk burgers, tom-tom tater tots, victory coleslaw, and home run cookies, served with justice.
Again, the 2-2. Just outside. It's 3-2 to Caminiti. That's Ortiz. He'll hit next. To left field, deep enough. Is it fair or foul? It's just foul. Caminiti is just now getting to second. Now he'll come back. He thought he had himself a dinger. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes. Did a radio talk show this afternoon on one of the affiliates that carries Braves baseball, WGOW. Up in Chattanooga, and the calls there were coming from all over, and certainly a hotbed of Braves fans up in that area.
Did one today at a very unusual place, Ottawa, Ontario.
On the corner, call strike 3. Number 4 for Avery.
Avery is now set down 9 in a row. Borderline, but we've told you before, Frank Pulley is a pitcher's umpire. Most of the borderline calls go to the pitcher.
And here's Ortiz. Avery has struck out 4, 2 swinging, 2 called. Ortiz was his first. It was a call, strike 3. Breaking ball misses low, 1-0. Good changeup, 1-1. John Daniel from Bowden, Georgia. Dropped us a note. He watches us all the time. One and 1 to Ortiz. In the air, shallow center. Belliard is back. Lemke is back, but it's Gant who's going to take charge. He's got it. It's another easy inning for Avery. That's 10 in a row he's set down. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. Braves lead it 3-0. Avery and Smith. We got a note from some folks up your part of the world, didn't we?
Yeah, I used to work in Binghamton, New York, way back in the 60s, and Hazel Katie celebrating her 93rd birthday up in Johnson City, which is one of the Triple Cities. And we congratulate the Triple Cities area. They're getting baseball back next year after an absence of about 20 years. Next year, they'll be the AA affiliate of the New York Mets.
That's terrific. Here's Belliard. He got on the air in the 2nd inning. He eventually came around to score. Cedeno committed back-to-back errors on balls off the bat of Belliard and Avery. Foul back, it's 0-1. Yep, you knew early in the year that he showed in spring training he could play the defense, and that's why he was here. But look at that batting average. The second half. He's at 246 for the year. Out of play, it's 0-2. We want to send along get-well wishes to Mr. Ralph Fleischer. He's in Sistersville, West Virginia. Big Braves fan. Had tickets to come down and watch this week, but fighting a little battle of his own with pneumonia, and we certainly hope Ralph get well soon. There's Avery. He's next. 0-2 to Belliard. Out of play, still 0-2.
Belliard looks like he's trying to take that swing that C.J. Clarence Jones has been working with him on when they play it that far off the line, try to pull the ball down there. He's done that a few times, especially in the second half when the batting average has been higher.
And a lot of times with runners in scoring position, he takes a shot down there. He's driven home some big runs. On the ground, Cedeno, another chance. Oh, close at first. You might get an argument out of this one. Charlie Williams says he's out. Bobby Cox started to go argue, but changed his mind.
To the naked eye, it looked like Belliard beat it. We'll get a chance to look at it a second time. Still looks like he beat it.
To the slow-mo, it looked like he beat it. Yes, he did. Bang, bang play. Braves lose out on this one. One gone, and here's Avery. Down low with the breaking ball, 1-0. That's low. It's 2-0. There's a strike. 2-1 to Avery. Avery with 17 hits. He's tied with Tom Glavine. One more and he wins the battle. Right side, but Candell is going to close the gap to Backwell, and Avery's gone. 2 outs. And here's Lonnie Smith. He'll take a little extra time so that Avery can get in and collect himself. We also want to send along some very special get-well wishes to a friend of ours who watches every night, and every now and then, I understand he figures out a lot of stuff we should know on the air. Russell Doyle, he's 7 years old. He goes to Laurel Ridge Elementary School in Decatur. He's having some surgery today at Scottish Rites Hospital. And, Russell, we are pulling for you, and thanks for always watching the Braves.
We should also thank the Statler brothers for sending us those jackets and wish them the best on their upcoming TV series.
Yes, sir. Swing and a miss by Lonnie. It's 0-1. Starting to cool off a little bit. These will come in handy. 0-1 to Lonnie Smith. Lonnie is grounded to short. He's single. Fights it off out of play. It's 1-1. Lonnie at 274, 7 homers, 43 RBIs. I bet you he'd like to steal one more base. He has 9 for the year. 10, there just seems something nice about having double figures. On the ground, Cedeno will get another shot. Good arm. He's got Lonnie. So 3 ground outs. Take care of the 4th inning for the Braves. It's an easy one for Juden. We have completed 4 in Atlanta, and the Braves lead it 3-0. One pitch, 1 out, 11 in a row set down by Avery. And here's Cedeno. Had a big swing last time up. Hit it right on the end of the bat. A good changeup from Avery. He's had a tough night in the field. A couple of difficult plays that he was able to turn, but a couple of errors. Strike 1. Hernandez is starting to throw down in the Astros bullpen. Pitcher spot 4th due up. Good breaking ball from Avery. It's 0-2 to Cedeno. Cedeno, since being called up, has played in 6